Beautiful.
Well, we are moving out of the 1980s into the 2000s here on 2000 Atmospheres. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Denmark. He is going to be representing Storm Gaming. We have MaxPax.
And spawning in the top right hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Croatian Protoss player. He is red, representing Team Roddy. It is a Goblin.
Should be seeing at least one Phoenix War in this series.
Oh, he better.
He set my brain a little bit. Sorry.
If he wants to get paid, he better go for those Phoenixes, mate.
Or else he is, of course, doing this all for old mate Rotterdam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is what he likes to see generally.
Yeah, I mean, it's what Roddy likes to see. Is it what Goblin likes to go for? Not necessarily, but we have already seen a lot of PvPs so far in DreamHack Europe. There are just so many Protoss players in general in the group stage.
Yeah, a lot of the rising, up-and-coming, younger players, for some reason, tend to be Protoss players. We see a lot in Christianer, MaxPax here, and Goblin as well. Skillus, currently at the top of his group, really popping off this season.
Oh yeah, it's great to see these young up-and-coming Protoss players do well, and we'll see if they continue to do well. This is a really interesting matchup because, on the one hand, I think there's a lot of eyes on MaxPax. Sure, like when it comes to the best Protoss on EU, everyone historically it's been Showtime. Showtime has been the wall. Yeah, he has been like the best in Europe when it comes to Protoss. But recently, like MaxPax, he's been doing so well in the weeklies, in the European ESL weeklies, even in the previous seasons of DreamHack as well. Like he has become such a powerhouse in the European scene.
Absolutely, steadily climbing his way there. He's definitely shed that reputation he once had of being a very cheesy player, now being a very well-rounded player.
Yeah,
he very much do it all.
Definitely. And meanwhile, when we talk about Goblin, like he's got so much potential, especially because we gotta talk about it. Everyone's gonna be talking about it. Yesterday, mate, this man took down Clem.
Him now being reminded that he is, of course, a Clem Sayer. Taking out Clem 3-0 at a best of 3 at that.
Yeah. Just took me a moment to register what you just said. Yeah, that did happen, according to Twitter, I guess. But yeah, Goblin, he had a really strong showing yesterday, and again, was that kind of a one-shot sort of thing? Was it just his PvT, or can he also show that off in the PvP matchup?
That's what we're about to find out. I think historically MaxPax has had the upper hand, specifically in PvP. But again, anything goes in this matchup. It is very much up to the individual player and how they like to play.
Definitely. Meanwhile, we did have a Stargate opener here from MaxPax. He dives in with his Oracle. Because there's a shield battery, it can't really do too much damage. Forced to use the stasis.
Very quick reaction coming out from Goblin, only losing one of his probes to that stasis ward, and he'll get it back eventually. Little bit of lost mining time, but nothing that should really affect the game as it goes forward.
Yeah, not the biggest of deals there. So nice reaction by Goblin. He was already ready for that opening as well, as he did scout it earlier. Meanwhile, we do see that immediately MaxPax is switching things up, going into a Twilight Council.
Yeah, he'd definitely be crazy to stick to Stargates too long in a PvP. Something he might want to get into eventually, but in the early mid game, it is going to be all about Blink Stalkers and usually Disruptors, but every now and then we see Immortals or Archons instead.
Yeah, we see Charged Archon compositions, we see Blink Stalker Immortal as well sometimes, so we'll see what these players really enjoy to do. If it was Skillus, he'd be going into Colossus, because why the hell not?
Look, it's worked for him so far.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right on that one. Oh god. As we do see Goblin, he does have a bit of a faster blink, but not by much. And oh my god.
Oh, sweet lord. I'm just quickly checking Goblin's structures right now. He has no Robo, no Forge, and no Stargate. 0 forms of detection right now. If he does not realize that DTs are coming his way quick enough, if he doesn't get enough body blocks off, he is going to be completely bankrupt, and the fight wouldn't even have started.
I think Goblin may just lose, so we'll see. Okay, so a big important thing is that we have a proxy gateway here, which means he's not going to get a Warp Prism, which means he's not going to get a Robo. Again, he's delaying or just not going for a Robo, he's going for a big 2-base all-in. And because of this, he will not have detection, so all it takes is for MaxPax to get some DTs defensively and offensively, and he's going to be fine.
It definitely depends on who strikes first, and when MaxPax is already looking to make his move, just distracting the army as much as possible with his own stalkers, doesn't want to reveal his hand too quickly, and doesn't really have a way to warp it across the map right now.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that's because Goblin is being the aggressor here. Okay, he throws down a 3rd base. All right. He's opted against it. He saw the army. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to commit to this. I'm going to just go toe to toe. Ooh, he does snipe a Void Ray, and now he can just keep going.
But it was a wild goose chase. Now, MaxPax, I don't think can take a head-on engagement, but those DTs are already slipping in. Oh, the Goblin blinks forward.
Oh god, that he does. He's going to be able to deny this 3rd base, but here we go. DT is being warped in defensively. Now Goblin knows.
It's a kill on that shield battery as well. Now Goblin does know, but what can he really do about it? That stasis ward, huh?
Yeah, the stasis comes into play. We'll save the probes.
Yeah, funnily enough. But at this point, Goblin may have way too many stalkers. We'll see as MaxPax is forced to pull the boys. We're in full base trait mode, but Goblin has way more DPS on his hands. Non-sustainable DPS, to be fair, as they get chipped away by the DTs.
Exactly, and the DTs are just going ham. They're destroying everything across the map, and they are shutting down these stalkers as well. That stalker count is getting lower and lower, and there's still 0 detection for Goblin. I think it's just, I like, what does he do against the DTs, mate?
Absolutely nothing but call GG and F10N. MaxPax takes game number 1. Looked a little bit shaky for him for a second, or I was a little bit worried for him once his structures started getting depowered. Then I looked over, he still had a bank. He could repower those, and again, nothing could deal with the DTs.
Yeah, that was like, I guess
worst case scenario for MaxPax, he sneaks out a probe and gets a Ninja Nexus while the DTs take out every single structure of Goblin.
Exactly. It's kind of a build order loss there for Goblin. Like, yeah. He made the decision to throw down those additional gateways. He made the decision not to go for a Robo, and it was just the wrong one. MaxPax rolled the dice. I don't even think MaxPax, he didn't see the build, by the way. He didn't realize how aggressive his opponent was being, and what a game 1.
Yeah. He was planning to go for that 2-base all-in right from the start, and didn't quite consider the possibility of the Dark Shrine. Or maybe he did, but at the same time he thought, what are the chances of MaxPax going for something like that? Absolutely minuscule, but that's the universe we're in. This is the timeline where MaxPax goes for DTs immediately in their first match here.
Yeah. Exactly. As we're currently getting set up for our next game here, and we're just watching the replay as the DTs get in, and god, just the solid feels bad, man. There.
Yeah. We don't have cams here, but I can just imagine the look on Goblin's face when he realized it.
Not like this, mate. Not like this. And just like that, MaxPax is now ahead in this series, and ahead by not really showing off too much, right? It was just, he went for this tech, it wasn't scouted, Goblin didn't know, and that was just the end of game 1. And now there's just so much more that he could go for here in game 2.
Including a macro game. I believe MaxPax has it in him.
Oh, no, 100%. That's what's scary about MaxPax, mate. That's what's terrifying about him.
That's what's caused him to be in... I don't actually have a number on this, but just it seems like the past couple of weeks, the past couple of months even,
Mhm.
every time you look at a ESL Open Cup NA or ESL Open Cup EU, MaxPax more than likely is in the finals.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Alrighty, as we continue our series here on Lightshade LE, we're in the bottom right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Croatia. He is going to be representing Team Roddy All-Mate Rotterdam. He is Goblin.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the blue Protoss player hailing from the land of Denmark, representing Storm Gaming. It is MaxPax.
Definitely keeping his opponent on edge a little this game.
Yeah, that's a rough game one, you know, like a rough game one to lose, I should say, where, you know, you gambled a little bit, you flipped a coin, didn't really go your way, and now you're down in the series against MaxPax. What is Goblin going to show off here? Is he going to risk it all and go for something like that again, you know, like going for these hidden gateways and go for another big all-in? Or is he now going to like try and play a little bit safer?
Well, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Or fix it, I suppose.
What's broken though? What's DTs? Like the the hopes of Goblin. Oh god. Yaku, please.
No, but I'm pretty sure MaxPax knows that that's a once in a tournament type of build. You pull it off once to catch one opponent off guard for one map, and then you just play out a more standard game from there. Kind of a silver bullet.
Definitely. Oh boy, as we are slowly getting into this game, we'll see if we have any divergent builds here, if MaxPax goes once again for a Stargate opener. We saw it didn't really do him much in game number one, but he's going for it again.
Yeah. We're seeing another Oracle coming out, the most standard early unit coming out from Protoss player in the PvP. Well, aside from Phoenixes.
Definitely. We saw how well Goblin was able to... We saw how well he was able to defend against the Oracle in the first game. You know, hopefully he can do so again. This time, Goblin, he did scout. He did see the Stargate.
Gonna be a lot more prepared this time, but MaxPax, he also knows he's being scouted. He's being very active with his ground units.
That he is just going across the map with his Adept. As we've seen time and time again, even if your initial Oracle doesn't deal too much economic damage, as long as you keep it alive, it can still gain some value over time. And this is a very interesting wall.
It is, yeah. It's not the standard 2-gate right by the ramp. I like it. There's a little bit of ground there, you know?
I don't know if I like it.
And, well...
It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Protoss had tanks, then, you know, maybe. Position a tank there, but fortunately not.
Yeah, very interesting building placement there by Goblin. Meanwhile, the Oracle is zooming across the map here, going towards the natural. There is no shield battery, but there are two Stalkers in position to meet the Oracle.
Unless they get distracted by the Adept, but Goblin not missing a beat. Gets the shade, blocks the shade, and will lose a couple of probes here, but could have been a lot worse. At the very least, he is able to chase the Oracle away, which was a major threat.
Exactly. As the Adepts do finally get dealt with, but as you said, like 5 probes, that's not bad damage at all. And now that initial Oracle was able to survive, we have 2 Oracles going towards the main base.
Oh, does it get scouted by the probe?
Oh, just barely.
Yeah, probe does get taken out there, but it will give a scouting report to the rest of the army. MaxPax really considering his moves right now, anticipating Goblin moving the Stalkers towards the main base, tried to go for the natural, but Goblin one step ahead this time.
Yeah, exactly. His opponent thought he was gonna juke and jive, but mate, he just stood still, mate. So that's all he needed to do. But the Oracle just barely survives once again with 4 HP. And meanwhile, ooh, Goblin throwing down another proxy pylon, and MaxPax doing MaxPax things, mate. Game 1, it worked. Why not do it again in game 2?
I suppose so. I'm gonna be keeping my eyes directly at the top left-hand corner of the screen here, Light. Mostly on Goblin's reduction tab. Because we're starting to see history repeat itself a little.
He's so
No, he's getting forged.
Okay, we're okay, people. There's potential here, right? I was worried because he was throwing down more gateways. I'm like, yo, where's the rowboat? But because it's a forge, he can throw down a cannon.
Yeah, and he should be throwing down the cannons as well, just to keep him alive. That's not going to completely neutralize the DTs from this game. MaxPax may want to use them to deny bases or to turn to Archons even, but it will mean that Goblin lives a lot longer.
Yeah, that's the thing about these DTs. Like, it's not like a massive commitment. Sure, like it is an investment, right? And it does hurt when it doesn't pay for itself, but it doesn't have to end the game. You know, if it ends the game, it's a bit of a bonus.
Yeah, and it doesn't and they don't have to pay for themselves immediately.
Yeah.
So I guess you're able to get utility from them at some point. It's worth it.
Exactly. Meanwhile, cannon gets thrown down here at the natural base, and I believe the cannon will also be able to just barely cover some of the entrance to the natural as well, so it's going to be difficult for the DTs to really sneak in. Meanwhile, there we go, a cannon in the natural as well. Goblin, he is ready for the DTs.
Safe as can be, and now he's committing a lot more to the Stalker play. Blink has finished up already, and he's warping in more and more by this fort location. I'm not convinced MaxPax has an answer to it. The DTs, sure, could help, but for how long?
Defensively, they're going to be pretty good, right? Like, again, there's no mobile detection here for Goblin. Meanwhile, he blinks on forward. Ooh, nice blink from MaxPax and nice stasis.
That stasis is the absolute MVP right now for MaxPax. Didn't even need to reveal his hand.
Oh my god.
Even depowers the Cybercore. Oh my lord, if he can take out the Cybercore.
There's no mobile detection.
And there's no pylon anywhere near to throw it at a cannon either.
Oh my god. Meanwhile, finally the stasis runs out. Goblin, he's able to take out a couple buildings here, but the Cybercore will go down. That will put a stop to the Stalker production from Goblin, and he hasn't remade it.
Oh, yeah, he has a spare.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm blind. Thank God.
I mean, I saw that worst case scenario in my head just as much as you. Yeah. Just had to slap myself awake a little.
Yeah. It's all good, man. It's
From the nightmare.
Meanwhile, first DT comes out defensively, and again, there's no detection here. Not yet, anyway, for Goblin. Oh my god.
One DT gonna be completely shutting down the aggression from Goblin, but not for too much longer as the Observer makes his way across the map. MaxPax, I think he feels like he's dealt with the aggression, but he is still getting Immortals out, which is always nice to see when you know your opponent's going this Stalker heavy.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, again, this will help so much defensively. The biggest weakness of these Immortals are how immobile they are, but when you're defensively at home, like, mate, they are already where they need to be. Meanwhile, Goblin, once again, he's going across the map. He does not have a War Prism with this, not yet anyway, so his reinforcements are going to be a little bit slow, but the army of MaxPax is a little bit out of position.
Yeah, kind of gives up the third base here. Shield batteries were immediately sniped. Immortal cannot get in range to start putting the hurt on these Stalkers, but he keeps it alive. Now there are 2 Immortals. And it's really going to turn the tides of this battle.
Oh god, that it is. Meanwhile, there was some nice snipes earlier, taking down all their shield batteries, so an overcharge was not used defensively. Nice hallucination, by the way. Oh my god.
But Goblin knows. He has the Observer here. He blinks right on top of the Immortals. Couple of defensive blinks coming out from MaxPax. They are Zealots, which will trade better against these Stalkers as long as they're able to get on top of them. Goblin's being kept at bay for a while longer, but the Zealot count is really starting to get thinned out.
Yeah, and Goblin
is desperately for an Immortal.
That he is. Meanwhile, Goblin, he pushes on forward, and it looks like he will take down this third base. Finally, he's able to accomplish what he needed to, and from here, he can back off if he wants, or he can just go in for the kill.
Yeah, trying to get a concave on top of his army. He is in position to do so. But MaxPax being very careful and very conservative. He will lose 10 probes, but he's still technically ahead. Meanwhile, the CT completely preventing mining from that third base. I believed that it could take out the third.
I mean, it dealt
not meant to be.
It dealt a lot of damage. It took out all the shields, started dealing some hull damage as well. Now Goblin has the advantage when it comes to the third base, but MaxPax, he does now have his Immortals. He also has charge as well. He doesn't have any Zealots yet, but he does have the high ground.
Sometimes that's all you need. Immortal gets sniped, but once again, MaxPax is traded a lot more efficiently. We just saw Goblin go from having a 20 supply army advantage to a... Well, now he doesn't even have it anymore.
He does not, mate. And now Goblin, he can make some moves happen, right? He does have the Observer. If he wanted to, he could try and blink into the main base. He could try and bypass the army and the defenses if he so wished, but instead he backs off. Again, he's got the faster third, takes that economic lead.
Yeah, doesn't have to end the game just yet. Focusing a lot more on getting those upgrades he's missing. Will be about even with MaxPax when it comes to the upgrades very, very shortly. Neither player really going for +2 yet, though.
Yeah, very interesting that they both did stay on +1 and they haven't worked on either of their upgrades. Not yet, anyway. Meanwhile, it looks like MaxPax is getting ready to be aggressive himself, setting up a pylon here to warp in across the map. Goblin is trying to set up his own defensive position here at his own third. But MaxPax, the first player to start +2.
There we go. Sometimes that can make all the difference, but not as much as unit composition or even sheer numbers. At least when it comes to Stalker versus Stalker.
Definitely. Oh god, and even though MaxPax wanted to try and shut down this reinforcement point, I love it. Goblin, he's doubling down. He's throwing down another pylon here as well, just in case.
I'm not sure how much I love it, though, because MaxPax, he is being more defensive right now, and we see why. He is teching up a lot more aggressively than Goblin. If he's able to get out a couple of Disruptors and get a couple of Purification Novas, I do not see Goblin's army trading well at all against MaxPax.
We saw how good Disruptors were in the first series that we casted today in Kaz versus Mana, right? Disruptors can change everything. In the PvP, it's a little bit different because obviously Blinkstalkers can micro away from said Disruptors. Speaking of, Goblin trying to find a way in, but he doesn't, and that Robotics Bay, it finished.
Indeed, it did. Just waiting for this Immortal finish up. Goblin gathering a couple of reinforcements. Wants to go for round, what would it be at this point? 6?
6, yeah. Sounds about right to me, and he just can't find a way in here. Again, there are cannons, shield batteries, overcharge, force fields. Ooh, I like this though. Goblin maybe going to try and force MaxPax to split up his army. But the first Disruptor, it's popping out.
Maybe just get that surrounded. First Disruptor is getting out, but it's going to need to make a choice where it wants to throw that Purification Nova. Goblin is fighting that concave. The Zealot's not really doing much.
Yeah, they're waiting. They're waiting for the moments. Now they're looking to maybe dive in. The Disruptor did reveal itself, so Goblin did see it. Now he's got to make a choice. Does he want to go into his own Disruptors? Is he going to go into Phoenixes? Like, what is the plan here for Goblin?
So far, it seems to be max out on Gateway units. Which could work out for him. He's coming in for the surround. Purification Nova will zone out a lot of the Zealots, but... not too many of them are able to land. Very good use of the force fields, though, effectively cutting the army of Goblin in half. MaxPax, he's holding with that battery overcharge. Is it going to be enough? Just about barely. Wow. He's pushing on forward. He's breaking out.
Even though those Disruptor shots honestly didn't get many connections at all, they forced the army back. They forced Goblin to micro backwards, and that did affect his DPS output there. MaxPax was able to just barely hold on, and now that Disruptor count is getting even larger.
Absolutely is. Keep in mind, after you force out the initial blink with one Purification Nova, they don't have any blinks to dodge the others.
That they do not. Meanwhile, Goblin is trying to outmaneuver the army of MaxPax, trying to find a way in. And what I'm worried about is that you're right. Like, Goblin, he's just doubling down. He's just still making nothing but gateway units. He wants to end the game with this army composition. He doesn't want it to go any longer.
Yeah, as much as I would like to say that +3 will swing the tide to Goblin's favor, Disruptors are very scary to deal with.
They're terrifying, mate. I'm a Zerg player, man. You tell me. Like, oh my god. The Goblin, he's trying to find a way, and if he ever finds these disruptors all alone, then maybe he can just win the title battle.
Oh, they're isolated.
Oh god, that they are.
Not for too much longer, though. A purification over lands. And that was just a warning shot. Plenty more where that came from. One disruptor finally gets taken out. Another one replaces it immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And MaxPax, he is starting to take the supply lead. But again, there's maybe an opportunity here. Oh, Goblin gets forced back.
Man, every time MaxPax notices how vulnerable his disruptors are looking, he immediately blinks back. He knows that that's priority number one for him. That's the one thing still being a threat to Goblin.
Oh god!
Just a split second too late. GG